Blessed afternoon, collective. How is it going? How are you feeling? Wow, this lighting is beautiful. It is absolutely spectacularly gorgeous right now. I mean, always, but God, yeah, the sky is just really pretty at this moment. How's it going? Things are moving, things are shaking. We're in a phase of transition. I mean, we're kind of always in some phase of transition. The cycle never stops, right? The signal, the beat, whatever it is, it doesn't stop. It keeps going. But how do I feel this? We've just passed the new moon, so I'm going to integrate that energy in this. We are in a new phase. But that's just one cycle, right? The lunar cycle is just a piece of the much larger cosmic pie and clock, everything that is rotating, pies within pies, if you will. And it's all blending together. Today, specifically, I believe Mercury goes direct in Virgo. So that's nice. It is a release. It's an influx of sort of forward motion. It's helping things come to the surface. That's what all of this is about. We're trying to unstick a lot of stuck energy and actually allow it to express. It's been stuck for a long time. It's kind of glued in there. It has its own momentum, and everything that the universe is doing is to assist with shifting that momentum, to bring that vibration into sympathetic resonance, harmonic resonance with this broader, lighter, higher vibration frequency, so that it can shake loose, so that the density can be released. Devil energy or illusion energy, it's really the same thing. There's no entity attached to it. It can only survive in stagnancy. It can only survive in low vibrational energy because it's not moving very much, because it is stuck. That's how it gets stuck. That's how it stays stuck. The universe is injecting repeatedly. We're receiving repeated injections of angelic energy, or very high vibrational, high frequency, rapidly moving energy, which can feel very jarring because it is very fast. It's not that different from receiving an inoculation, an injection, taking an antibiotic, and having a systemic reaction to it. There's a period of inflammation where everything is reacting. It's a heightened response, but that response is a part of this normal process that is helping the body, the energetic, etheric body in this case, to reject, to release certain things so that it can kind of build itself up, build up this energetic immunity and release a lot of this dense, heavier, toxic kind of energy. That's what's happening. That's what's going to continue to happen as we move through this transition of dimension into higher dimensionality. It's a pretty astounding thing. And it is far beyond the mind's ability to grasp it, but it can be felt, it can be understood, it can be comprehended by consciousness. It is that feeling, that knowing of something ringing true, even if it doesn't make sense, even if you don't understand it. Goodness knows my mind does not understand the details of this, but whatever is received is understood. It makes sense in a way that's beyond words, that's beyond explanation, really even description. I do my best to articulate because it satisfies me to. That's just what it is. It's all self-expression. Anyways, we also have, I believe, a trine between the Sun and Uranus retrograde in Taurus. Again, a lot of things coming up. There's a lot of anxiety coming up. That anxiety is there to be looked at. That anxious feeling is the result of a thought. That thought is the result of a perspective. It's time to take a look at what that perspective is that's creating the anxious feeling, because that's what it's pointing to. Any unpleasant feeling, in this case, there's a lot of anxiety specifically, but any painful feeling, grief, sadness, depression, anger, is pointing to a perspective. It was created by a thought. That thought isn't yours and it's not you, but it's there. It is alive. It is living within this body, sharing this space with you. That emotion created by that thought, a thought created by a perspective, and it's all pointing to its evidence of the nature of your perspective. Is it in alignment? I can't speak. Had one single Coors Light with my friends at work today, but is it in alignment with reality, with the truth of all that is? If it is, then it doesn't hurt. It flows smoothly. If it's not in alignment with the perspective of the highest self, your full self, which actually is the entire universe, if it is not in alignment with and therefore supported by the universe, you feel that tension. It feels uncomfortable because you are looking and thinking and therefore feeling against the grain of reality, against the grain of the universe. That's what that uncomfortable emotion is there to tell you. That's why it's so important to look at it, to embrace it, to accept that it's there, not to say it shouldn't be there. It's there for a reason. It's there to demonstrate to you that something in your perspective is off kilter and that you have the power to adjust that. In many cases, it's a complete 180. In many cases, we are looking the opposite direction of the truth. We have a perspective that creates a thought that is the opposite of what the universe, of what the self knows to be true. The result of that is some sort of uncomfortable emotion. All of that is just information. It's incredibly valuable. It is not bad. It's not good in the way that the mind perceives things as good, but it is good in that it's beneficial, incredibly beneficial to have that information. Now we can set a new course heading. Now we can adjust the direction of our focus and say, this unpleasant emotion is here because my focus is in a direction that is in contradiction with actually the rest of myself. The rest of me is seeing this quite differently. Let me now adjust my focus in that direction and find, there we go, there's the path of release. If I had this thought and this perspective, let me take the opposite one and be aware that that is true. And in experimenting with that, you will discover this to be the case. And please don't take my word for it or anybody's word for anything. Try it for yourself. All of life is an experiment. Do not be too timid or squeamish in your actions. Try it for yourself. That's what all of this is about. That's what this energy is here to assist us with. It all folds in together. It all works seamlessly together. We accept that the emotion is there. That acceptance allows the energy to flow and guide us in the direction that actually is the path of least resistance, the path of truth, the path of alignment with the self and all that is. Then we are able to allow the flow to return freely when we're not restricting the flow. It balances itself. We feel better. Everything moves more smoothly. We're no longer creating resistance, which is creating suffering. It all works in tandem, quite effortlessly. There is no effort required in living. It's all about releasing the effort. The mind thinks there must be strain and struggle. The mind thinks there must be trying, there must be work. None of that is true. It is, in fact, the releasing of the effort that allows the natural flow of all that is, and it is a big flow. It's so much bigger than any one of our individual selves. It allows that flow to simply sweep you up and take you along, and all it takes is releasing the resistance to it. But it's a challenge to release that resistance when one has become identified with the mind, because the mind builds an identity from resistance. So we become aware that the mind has this resistance-founded identity, and we simply witness it. We witness that it's happening. We step back from the mind. We accept the mind and its resistance, and then we are not resisting what is. And so we have found a way to surrender without eliminating the mind, without eliminating the ego or any of its judgment. We've simply disidentified with that judgment, and so we're no longer participating in it. When we're no longer participating in the judgment, we're no longer participating in the resistance. We are accepting what is, and simply in the awareness of it, that surrender is bundled in to awareness. It's not an extra step. Just by your open, neutral awareness, by stepping back from the mind, you become the awareness that you are, and you return to that state of neutrality, which is naturally yours. And then everything just flows. You don't have to do anything. There's nothing to do. You're just watching, you're just listening, you're just being, and everything takes care of itself. So, let's pull a reading, because I'm interested in the way that this energy is affecting the soulmate cycle specifically. And I believe tomorrow, we have a square between Venus in Leo and Jupiter retrograde in Taurus. I think that's right. If it's not, oh well. But it's a push. It is a push to expand, to release fear, to release attachment, to expand perspective, to release attachment specifically to the ego, which is the mind-made self, and its bottomless pit of cravings, shall we say. And release the resistance to true desire. It's all pushing us to let go of judgment, which is where resistance really tends to exist. Let go of the judgment and just let what is be. If you feel a positive impulse towards something, then follow that impulse. If you feel a push away from something, then follow that push. Be aware. Is the mind characterizing any of this as good or bad? That's where ego can creep in. But if you are in your neutral place of awareness and observance, and you feel this sort of magnetic pull towards something that feels right, that feels in alignment with myself, let me just follow this feeling and see what happens. I have no attachment to a particular outcome. It's just curiosity. Curiosity, I have this feeling, let me follow it. Simply that. We are being guided to return to that state of innocence and wonder when the world still believed in magic. Returning to that childlike essence, which all of us truly are. That essence which is curious and wants to explore and adventure and experiment and experience, which has no questions or concerns or expectations, really. Just wants to see. It wants to find out. Suffice to say, great change is present and will continue to be. And you don't have to do anything, just let it happen. That's it. So, let's pull in the soulmate cycle. Let's pull in the soulmate cycle. As always, I have not shuffled these decks. Whatever comes out, comes out. And it's the soulmate cycle right now. It's somebody getting on their horse, getting ready to go. There's some trepidation here, but there is an equal amount of determination. A lot of times, that is the role of the masculine aspect, the mind within ourselves, when it is in service of the soul. It's saying, I feel the fear and I do it anyway. I feel the mind working against myself. I can feel that I'm working against myself. I make a conscious decision to stop doing that, to stop doing the thing I'm doing that is standing in my way, to pick a path and just go with it, to follow this flow, to see what happens. A lot of times, it takes a little bit of that anger. It takes that injection, sometimes even of fear. There is some fear of missing out here. I can sense that. To get us to just make a move, to just go see. I'm not saying to follow fear. That's never a thing to follow. But the universe works in magnificent and brilliant ways, and it knows how to twist the ego sort of against itself to get it out of a rut, to get it to at least move, to take action, to get off the fence, to make a choice, to do something. And then at least we've got the energy moving here. Once the energy is moving, it's a lot easier for that flow to take over, to start sloughing off the illusion, the heavy, dense, devil-type energy, and bring things back to balance. It's much more of a challenge when it's just stuck, and a lot of this masculine energy has been balled up in such tension, such resistance, going, I don't want to move, I'm not moving and you can't make me. And the universe has just been trying to get it to move. Just move, just get the ball rolling. We can work out the rest of the details from there. What's underneath? Six of Pentacles. Yeah, there's the conflict. Five of Wands. With the Lovers underneath. There is some argumentation happening in this energy. A lot of internal conflict over what it is that we really want to give to. What it is that really satisfies us. What is it that really brings us joy? The kind of joy that is not related to an outcome. It comes from the action itself. It is the means which is the end, not a means to an end. It's the kind of giving that sustains itself, that nurtures itself, that feels good. You're not giving for the tax credit. You're giving because it feels good. In fact, if you don't get a tax credit, that doesn't matter. If nobody knows about it, that doesn't matter. This is not some, given so you can take a picture and post it on social media and say, look what I did. We're seeing how we've perhaps done some things like that. And there's discomfort with that. And yeah, there's the Devil underneath. It's obsessive. We cannot stop dreaming this dream. You can't get rid of a desire. Once you have a desire, it's there. I'm talking about a soul level desire. Again, a desire that is pure. It's of itself. It's for itself. It's not about an outcome. It's not about how other people will now perceive me. It's not like a desire to be famous or have a lot of money or some status or anything like that. It's a deeper desire. It's a desire for soul satisfaction. We are pulling on the soulmate cycle. This does have to do with a connection of energy and genuine happiness. Real deal, genuine article happiness. The kind, again, that sustains itself. A meeting of not just the minds, but the heart. Mutual reception, mutual give and take. Mutual exchange of energy. We've tasted that. We've dreamed that dream, and now we can't undream it, and we can't let it go, and we cannot stop thinking about it. This feels very obsessive, which is where a lot of the anxiety is coming from too. Yeah, and there's the moon. It's all coming back to me now. It's just coming up again and again and again, and it's starting to stick. I can't get rid of this. Why can't I stop thinking about this? Why can't I let this go? Why is this still stuck with me? Why am I still thinking about that person or that experience? Why am I still having these dreams? All of this. Once you have a soul connection with somebody, and it doesn't matter what kind, we have soulmates of all kinds. Once you have a soul connection, you never forget. You will never forget that person. You just won't. Again, whether it was romantic or platonic, it doesn't matter. Or even just the briefest moment in passing. You made eye contact with somebody and you felt something. You'll never forget that person, and that person will never forget you. You will return to their minds again and again because you live in their soul in some capacity. You have this intimate connection that cannot be severed. It's coming back. It is coming back again and again for divine masculine energy. What's on top? It's coming back. It's stuck there. It's going round and round and round, and it's driving them crazy. Why can't I get rid of this? There's also the level of, why haven't I done anything about this? I thought I could push it away. I thought I could ignore it. It's clear now that's not the case, and I'm starting to realize, to admit to myself, I always kind of felt that was the case. But I never did anything. I never made a choice, one way or the other. I just kept sort of dreaming this little daydream in the back of my mind, thinking it was safe to do that. Thinking I could just keep it in the realm of dreams and that it wouldn't affect anything. I could go on living my life the way that I always had. It's time to get off the fence. If you're daydreaming about being with somebody else and you're in some sort of romantic connection, it could be a job too. If you are daydreaming about working this other job while you're working wherever you're working, I mean, it kind of says it all, doesn't it? You know where you want to be. You know where you want to go. You know where your heart is. You're not really there in this connection, whatever it is, and you are manifesting this other thing. You're putting the attention and the effort into daydreaming about it. That's calling it to you. That's manifesting it. To pretend I can just be in this relationship or this job or this whatever it is while dreaming about the other and have nothing change. That's not how it works. You are putting that energy out there, and the universe is going to keep bringing this other thing to you. That's how a lot of manifestation happens, is by daydreaming. Especially if the daydream is pure. If you are dreaming for the sake of dreaming, I'm already dropping cards. I barely started shuffling. If you're dreaming for the sake of dreaming, you're not dreaming with the intention of manifesting. You're not dreaming because you want some specific outcome to occur. You're dreaming because it feels good to dream that dream, and you like it, and you just return to it because it's pleasant. Especially if it's not an escape from something, but a lot of times, even if it is. I'm still shuffling even though I dropped a card. Why are we here? That's what I'm talking about. Why are we here? Because it's time to go. Why does that feel funky though? What fell out? Queen of Wands. Yeah, because it's multiple levels. It's both parts of the Queen of Wands, and there's intent. Yeah, there's absolutely a draw. There is a magnetic draw here that is saying go for it. Go towards this thing. Follow the feeling. You feel an impulse towards it. It's not good or bad. It's just an impulse. Go find out. Follow the feeling. That's it. But there's a but here. There's a big stinking but standing in the way. What's underneath this Knight of Wands? Yeah. But what if it's a mistake? But what? Two of Pentacles, Five of Cups. Focused in the wrong direction. Focused on the wrong thing. Focused on an outcome. Tied to an outcome. Attached to one. And because of that attachment to an outcome, we're afraid of what if it's not that, but what if it's a different way, and then leaving this, and but listen, you live this incarnation once. Live, experiment, try some things. Go with the flow. The universe is not going to lead you astray. Your soul is not going to lead you astray. You are here to mix it up. You're here to have some experiences. As long as you are allowing the flow to happen and not restricting it, you really don't create suffering. And then even if there is pain, even if something happens and it's not what you maybe thought you wanted, you can return to that place of peace and serenity, of knowing that, well, all is well. All is well. Everything is always working out for my benefit. Just because it didn't fit some picture that my mind created doesn't mean anything. That's okay. I can still accept this. As long as you can accept what is, You're not creating any suffering. You're not resisting or attaching. Even if you find yourself in such a situation with such powerful emotional intensity that you just can't accept it, it's unacceptable to you, you can still accept that it's unacceptable. If you cannot disidentify from the mind and feel around that resistance, you can accept that the mind is so strong and that resistance is so strong, and it's just what is, and it's creating this emotion. That's just what is. That's what it is. You can accept that. You can always find a place to surrender. That surrender is always your portal to peace. And you'll know nothing is going wrong. Nothing can go wrong. There's nothing bad. There's nothing serious happening here. It's just what is. No harm can befall you. It can't. Not really. What you are is beyond anything in this realm of existence. What's after the cut? Yeah, ouchie. It hurts. This is all driven by pain. There's a lot of pain here. Not making it up. Everybody can feel it. There is a lot of pain that wants to come out, wants to just be felt. It wants to be acknowledged. It's here to teach us something. It's here to point us in a different direction. It's here to teach us that holding on to pain, that holding on to any emotion creates pain, creates suffering, but especially pushing back pain. God, I can feel it. It is a gut punch. It is an absolute punch in the stomach. It only amplifies the suffering. The pain is not as painful as you think it is. It's the resistance to it that creates so much tension and discomfort. When you just accept it, when you allow it to be what's there, you release that resistance and you will discover that pain is really not so painful. It was just your tension balled up against it that made it seem like it was. We also can't follow the true guidance. We can't receive and hear what our soul is really speaking to us, because it speaks through feeling, unless we let all the feelings express. If we have pain stuck there because we're refusing to face it, we're just continuously recreating that pain. That's all our manifestation becomes, is a recreation of this pain because we refuse to face it. That's how we set it free, by feeling it. If you don't set it free, it just keeps coming back. You got to face it, to feel it, to free it, and then everything else can move through gracefully. Then we can start experiencing new stuff. Then the universe receives the information that it's been waiting to receive, waiting for you to accept that contrast, to face it fully, to admit it, to allow it, to say, this is what it is. I'm not judging it. I'm not resisting or attaching to it. Here it is. This is the experience. That releases that energy, allows your energy to come back into balance. You're restored to the natural flow, and it provides all the information the universe, the rest of yourself, needs to then start sending you new things down the pipeline. Things that you want. Things that you will enjoy, actually. You also enjoy contrast. I gotta tell you, at the highest level, there is no judgment between the desired thing and the contrast thing. It's all received the same way, with appreciation, with awareness of the benefit of this, with absolute acceptance, non-resistance, non-judgment. But you must embody that perspective and that state of open allowance for the things that you do desire to come through. If you're clinging to the contrast because you're balled up against it, you don't want to face it, no, I don't like it, you're just keeping it as a part of your experience. The universe can't clear that out and bring anything else in. There will always be contrast, but once you become open to the flow, the contrast doesn't matter so much. You discover, oh, it wasn't this experience, it wasn't the contrasting experience that was so painful. It was my resistance to it. That's where the suffering came from. I don't have to suffer. Even in the experience of pain, I don't have to suffer. When you discover that power, oh, then you're rocking and rolling. You are impenetrable. And you are impenetrable by your willingness to be absolutely heart open, vulnerable. Receiving everything that is. Receiving experiences that are painful. And you're not suffering in them because you're allowing them to be. And then they're able to move gracefully and with ease and elegance through your experience. And everything else comes in that way too. Okay, that's polar reading. Like right now, doing these readings, this is all an exercise too for me in accepting what is. I feel this pain. It comes through to me as sensation, as emotion, as something that is felt. If I were balled up in resistance against it and saying, no, I don't want to feel that, I don't like that, I couldn't receive the energy. So all of this is a practice, for me, a tremendously beneficial practice in allowing what is, allowing everything to simply be. I never know what's going to happen. I never know what's going to be felt, what's going to come through. But let's just see. Oh, I got a card flying out. That one went absolutely flying. I have to pick that up. Hang on. Oh, look at that. It's the Queen of Wands. Yeah, she is revving and raring to go. She feels a little snippy. But she can't contain herself, because the overall energy of this entire reading is the Empress, is the divine feminine, is emotion. What's underneath that? Hanged Man. It's just there. You're just there. You're just can't see anything but this. Fucking stuck right there. Fixed in the middle of their view. Can't look away. Oh my God, isn't she fabulous? Look at the Empress. These weird strawberry pajamas, but she's just looking fine. Doesn't matter. She could be wearing a plastic bag. You would want this. Alright. I'm actually going to take that off and just leave it there, because that's a powerful energy. Yeah. So, the card that flew out, which I'm leaving in the position of the connection, the mental position, it's lit. It's a little bit pissy that it can't see anything but this, but at the same time, it's going, oh my God, this. I want it so bad. Why do I want it so bad? I'm mad that I want it so bad. I want it so bad. I can't look away. Cannot stop this. I'm drawn to the cat for some reason. There's something a little sneaky about this. I don't know. I'm just saying what's here. It's a little bit of can I have my cake and eat it too feeling. And I'm going to tell you right now, the universe is not going to let that fly. What's in the 3D position? Four of Wands. Interesting. I'm interested in clarifying that. I mean, it's a new path. It is a new path. That's all I got. We want something new. Anything existing here, we want something new. We want something in this direction. Whether or not the energy actually moves towards any specific outlet, it needs to move in the direction of feminine. The desire is for feminine energy to take the throne. Ultimately, that's what all of this is about. Energetically speaking, leaving the people and the drama out of it, it's about energy coming to balance. Feminine energy has been repressed for a long time. The scales have been tipped in favor of complete masculine dominance. Again, nothing to do with gender, nothing to do with people. This is just energy. Nature, the universe, wants to bring that energy into balance. It is working right now to raise feminine energy and to reduce masculine energy so that they can come to equivalency. Really, so that the feminine can be just a tick higher, just this tiniest smidge, that it sits on top of the polarity. Feminine energy is negative in polarity, in charge. Masculine is positive in charge. It just wants that little tip of the scale so that we have this smooth flow between the two. What's in the soul? Yeah, ouch. Eight of Swords. Feeling trapped, looking for a way out. Looking for a way out of this. There's no way out of this. There is a lot of aggravation here. Certainly overthinking, but it's really just feeling trapped. It's overthinking soul energy. If you're trying to think about feelings, you're doing it wrong. Feelings are not meant to be thought. You can't think a feeling. They don't make sense. They're not there to make logical sense. They're there to be felt. They're there to be experienced and then followed, to actually guide you. You let the emotion guide the thinking process, not the other way around. Fighting the feelings, fighting the intuition. What's in the hidden energy of the universe? Three of Pentacles. This has been building. It's coming to a head. I mean, it has repeatedly. They've always wanted this. This is what they want. Everything in the universe is pushing masculine energy towards creating something new, towards letting this superficial ego-based identity fall away and building on the foundation of soul, on the foundation of feeling, not something that makes sense or looks good on paper or is approved of by a society or mommy and daddy. Something that feels good, something that feels truly right, feels right in a way that even as other people are tisk-tisking or shunning or speaking against, doesn't matter. Does not matter. This feels right. This feels good to me. I am satisfied. I am self-satisfied. What's in the final outcome position? The Star. I mean, you could say it's destined energy. It is destiny for this energy to come to balance. We'll say that. Not attaching people or situations. It's not written in the stars for any two people to be together. That's not what this is about. It is written in the stars for this energy to come to balance. That's the agreement. We've made this agreement. We have asked, and what we ask is given. We have asked for feminine energy and masculine energy to come to balance at every level. That's what's happening. That's what's gonna happen. No matter what, one way or another. Again, people, places, not relevant. The universe is balancing this energy, and it will do so in any way that it can. There is also that level of, it is the masculine energy, and this is true. Masculine energy lives in all of us. It is the energy of the mind, and by extension, the ego. It is the mind, the masculine energy, that manifested this, that asked for this. We asked. The mind got tired. It said, I don't like the way this is going. I am not happy. I can't figure it out. Help. What do I do? Send me some help. I don't understand what that is or what that looks like, but I'm asking. I am asking with free will for help. I am asking with my free will for things to come to balance. I'm asking for a higher order to step in, to take the reins, and to figure this stuff out, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. It's not working. I keep trying the same things over and over, and I don't see another solution. So I'm giving it up. I give up. Help me figure this out. Help me release it. Help whatever. Take the reins. Not consciously aware that it was asking feminine energy to take the reins. But that's what it was doing. That's what it was saying. It was saying, please bring me back into balance. Bring me back into balance with the feminine. That's That's what I want. That is what I crave. That is everything I desire. I don't understand how to do it. Please help it happen. The masculine energy has manifested this at every level. It manifested these connections to take place, these interactions to happen, and it manifested the awakening of humanity. The ego has asked for its own dissolution. It has witnessed its own unhappiness and said, I don't want this anymore. But I can't stop it. I can't see a way outside of myself. I just want some help with this. I don't want this. How do I stop this? And the universe delivers. What we ask is given. So let's clarify. With the animals today, because why not? Queen of Swords at the bottom. She's coming in with some cutting truths. There's that anxiety. The truth is, anxiety doesn't mean anything. The truth is, it's not going away by continuing what we're doing. The denial of feeling is not fixing this. Running from it is not fixing it. Saying that it's bad and that it shouldn't be there, it's not fixing it. It's not changing anything. It's time to face that anxiety. Maybe there's something else we can do. Well, there's only one other option. There's only one thing we haven't tried, and that's actually sitting with this. That's actually feeling it, letting it happen, letting the anxiety speak, and maybe inform us of something. Inform us of the viewpoint that generated this in the first place. What is it that we're doing that's creating this anxiety? We can't figure that out. We can't learn that unless we listen to it, unless we face it and we feel it and we let it speak. We let it move through us. Move through us. Three of Cups, again, it is time for this to happen. It's time for this to come out. It's time to face and feel the anxiety. That's the only way it moves. That's the only way it's released, and that's the only way that we're able to actually receive the guidance that we're seeking. It's time to stop fighting it. Yeah, the tension, the fear. Fear keeps us stuck, and it keeps us from feeling our own emotions. When we're afraid of a feeling, that ensures that feeling stays there within you. If you're afraid to feel something, it's just going to stay there. You must see past the fear. You must see how the fear is keeping that emotion stuck. It will tell you to do anything else. It'll tell you to look any other direction. The mind will tell you, let's go find some way to cover this up. That'll fix it. Yeah, that's ego telling you that because it's built an identity on this. It doesn't want this to go away. The mind doesn't want the anxiety to go away. The mind, the ego, is attached to it. It's built an identity around it. That is true for so much masculine energy. And so it's actually sabotaging itself. It will sabotage your efforts at releasing this. Notice that. Become aware of that. The environmental energy right now is trying to show this to the self. Trying to demonstrate to the mind, look, you're standing in your own way. You don't actually want this to be released because you've invested in it. Because if you heal this, if you let this go, if you face it and feel it, then you no longer have that identity to cling to. And so it actually diminishes ego. It feels like a loss to self to release this anxiety. There's no loss to self, there is loss to ego. If anything in you feels like it is being diminished, let it. That's not you. That is the mind-made self. That's the illusion of you. That's the false self, which has very likely built an identity on unhappiness. That's what it does. So it will do anything to get you not to feel the anxiety. It'll tell you, no, that's too scary, that's too dangerous, it's the worst, it's unacceptable, I can't take that, do anything else. It will create intense emotional sensations within you. Just sit with them, just watch it, say, I'm going to do it anyway. I hear you, and I see that you are leading me to resistance, and resistance generates suffering. So you're just leading me to more suffering. What I'm trying to do is release the suffering by releasing the resistance to what is. The way I do that is by facing what is. If this is what is, if this is what's being felt within me, then I gotta face it. I gotta feel it. That's the only way it gets unstuck. Tell me about the Queen of Wands here. Why is the Queen of Wands here? Oh, you're shitting me. I fucking love tarot so much. Hold on. All right, first, the environmental energy around the Queen of Wands. Surprise, surprise. What do you think it is? Well, now you know. And I have low power already. Yeah. The Queen of Wands, who is just unable to take this energy, this emotion, feeling so much emotion, so much feeling, so much attraction. It's terrifying to the Queen of Wands. She's not used to feeling on that level. That's Queen of Cups stuff. She doesn't mess around. She's not sensitive. She doesn't catch feelings, any of those things. She doesn't care. She really does care. She cares very much what other people think of her, but she doesn't. No, I don't care. Yeah, she's all twisted. Oh, panties in a wad. Why? Why is the Queen of Wands in such dire straits? Well, because she's the Queen of Wands. That's just what it, because that's what she is. Because this is her identity. Her identity is the Queen of Wands. Somebody who has it all together, who doesn't feel feelings, certainly doesn't get upset over things, doesn't get attached to people, doesn't fall in love. Somebody who has the white picket fence, the car, the job, the connections, the status, the reputation, whatever it is. That's her identity. When that identity is threatened, which it very much is, by whatever these connections have brought up within Divine Masculine, whatever they represent, she don't like it. She no likey. Ego doesn't like to have its identity. It creates an identity from form, from attachment to forms, and so resistance to things changing. And if there is any question of those things changing, those things being different, it freaks the fuck out because it perceives that as a loss of itself. It can even make an identity out of anxiety. That's here too, in a big way. And so if there's the possibility of healing that anxiety, of facing it, feeling it, and letting it go, ego will retaliate with more anxiety and go, oh no. If you do that, I no longer have legs to stand on. No, I will tell you every lie that I can come up with to get you to avoid feeling this. And I will make you feel more of this and tell you that's all you're going to get. That's all you're just going to feel more anxious. You're not going to be able to stand it. The only way out is in. The only way to release the stranglehold of anxiety over yourself is to stop trying to control it, is to stop fighting the anxiety. Oh, so why is the Queen of Wands the Queen of Wands? Look at that. How very interesting. Because she has built an identity that is one of tension, that is one of defensiveness. And so it's not just scary to let down the walls, it's life-threatening. That's the way it feels. It feels life-threatening to let down this guard, to face the anxiety, to face the feelings. It feels, and if one is identified with ego, that's exactly what's happening. Ego is aware. If it faces this feeling, the identity that it's built starts to crumble. No more ego. Ego begins to dissolve. It is the end of ego. It is death. And if you are identified with ego, which is perceiving the facing of feeling as death, you feel like you're facing death. It feels life-threatening. It feels that scary. That's amazing. That is exactly what all of this energy is here to do. Again, it's playing out in all kinds of ways. But at the core, again, ego has asked to dissolve itself because it's aware that it's standing in its own way. But at the same time, it's fighting it because it's aware that it will dissolve. That this is its end. It's not actually. It will sublime. It will transmute into pure divine masculine energy in support of the soul. But it doesn't see that. It's built an identity on form, primarily resistance, judgment, restriction, these types of things. It's very hard in its shell and in its ways. It has conflated satisfaction with a sense of solidity. It has conflated happiness with the inflation of itself. It doesn't know true soul level happiness. It could if it let that wall down. Goodness, that's a lot. But this is what we're dealing with. We are dealing with a very hard-shelled ego. An ego that is so balled up in tension and so full of itself. These are not judgments. This is not intended to insult. This is just what is. It is so full of itself, it can't see beyond itself, that it perceives even the facing of a feeling, even dropping the guard against emotion, as actually life-threatening. And so it resists it with that equal amount of force, as if its very existence were under threat. It is eroding. It cannot keep that resistance up. It can't. That's why it's asked for all of this. It's tired. It's tired of working against itself. It's tired of being in that state. And the feminine energy, the universe, is wearing it down. It will. It will dissolve. One way or another. Tell me about this Four of Wands. Just wanted to call it a Four of Swords. It is a very kind of hollow feeling. There is something unknown to it. Okay. All right. Environmental energy around it. Two of Swords. The crossroads is one of feeling. The crossroads is it's time to face the feelings that we've been pushing out. I say that specifically because this fell out. This is the environmental energy around this Four of Swords. Four of Swords, again. Four of Wands. It is sort of that feeling of having done nothing. We can't just stand at this crossroads forever. We can't keep pushing these emotions down. The more we push them down, the more forcefully they try to come up. One of these times, we're not going to be able to keep that lid on the pot. It's just going to spew everywhere it wants to. We've been pushing so hard because it feels life-threatening. It feels like the end of ourself if we let this emotion come out. It's going to come out anyway. Why is this King of Cups here? Eight of Cups. The things we've left behind, the things that we would be leaving behind. That's just the sense I get from this. Again, it's the focus is in the wrong direction. Instead of focusing on we're walking towards the 9 cups, it's the focus on walking away from the 8 broken cups. And yeah, they're broken, but I had them for such a long time. They were a part of this identity. Again, it's the dissolution, the death of an identity. And that's why this is so challenging. That's why it's being resisted so powerfully by ego. It makes perfect sense. And when you are identified with ego, when you haven't found the place to step back into where you're just witnessing this happen, it's very painful. It is very painful. It's very scary. It feels very real and heavy and serious. It feels like you are dying. I am speaking from personal experience. I do understand this. But it is a part of this process. It's a part of this process, and in accepting that death, in finally realizing I can't fight this death of self, this what feels like the death of myself is happening, and I can't change it. I've tried to push it away, I've tried to ignore it, I've tried to repress it. It's not working. When you just accept whatever this is, this thing that feels like death is happening, and you allow it, that's when the break starts to happen, the dissociation between you and the ego. And you realize you were never in question. The truth of you, your reality, yourself, was not what was dying. It was the illusion. It was the idea. It was a false self, a version of you, a concept, an unhappy one. Furthermore, one that was attached and bound and restricted and very small and limited. But when you let that self die, you experience the liberation from it. You start to see, that was never me. There was never anything serious happening here. That was the mind-made self. That was an illusion. It was an identity. All of this stuff. And now as that identity starts to slough off in layers, which it does, each time is less painful. It's less serious because you're familiar with it now. You're no longer seeing through the eyes of ego and experiencing this death as yours. You are seeing through your eyes and witnessing ego and walking it through the dying process. It's really quite beautiful. And so you learn what death is before the end of this form. You begin to understand intimately that it is not an end of anything. There is no death of you. There is the death of form. There is the transition of form, which ego is. But what you are continues. What you are is infinite. You are immortal, eternal, unlimited. And now you have this new level of compassion that appreciates the death of form, that appreciates the mortality that form experiences, including this one. It becomes a shared experience with all form that you have a deep empathy for, but that empathy is not a sadness, because it also holds in awareness the realization that nothing is truly lost. The form is mortal, but what you are, your essence, is eternal. And so every form that you witness pass away, you can feel even a grieving. You can feel this deep appreciation for this form that was and is no more. But at the same time, you have this joy and peace and serenity in the awareness that nothing is lost. That which infused this form with life carries on, absolutely uninterrupted, utterly well in its being. And then you can be rejoicing while grieving. That is true compassion. Tell me about this 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords, feeling bound and restricted. Tell me about the 8 of Swords. God, the universe is cool. We're cool. We're freaking cool. You know that? Tell me about this 8 of Swords. Judgment. Wow. Everything in the soul is trying to help us break loose from this perception of being trapped. We're not trapped. We're never trapped. That's only ever an illusion created by perception, created by the mind, actually, and then the identification with the mind. But it's never the case. The feeling of having missed something and wanting a second chance, but we think we missed it. If you missed the boat, go down to the dock anyway. See if there's another boat. If you missed it, well, first of all, if you're not sure you missed it, go find out. Second of all, if you missed it, see if there's another boat. There's probably another boat. Get on that boat. You're not stuck. Again, go find out. Why is the 8 of Swords here? Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, If you missed the milk, if you think you missed the chance at milk, well, go see. Go ask. Can I have some milk, please? Are you no longer serving milk? Okay. Then maybe I will have orange juice, or, you know. I can't look away. There's a frustration, again, with how this can't be removed. It's just there. We can't find it anywhere else. We can't get away from it. It's just there. And there is a terror in moving towards it, again, because it's attached to this whole identity, this egoic identity, and would mean the dissolution of that identity. But we want it. We want it. Why is the Queen of Pentacles here? We want it. We want this. It's stuck because it's here to help us break free. It's here to help us move towards it. This is undeniable. It's trying, again, to just get the ball rolling, to crack the shell of ego enough that consciousness can actually extract from it and begin to see the bigger workings here, to see the bigger picture, what's actually going on. It is creating so much tension in the feeling of the death of self, so that we are forced into surrender. It's trying to just poke that hole in the shell enough that we can have breathing space, that we see there's nowhere else to go except here. We have to back it out. We have to just do something. Oh, the urge to communicate is so strong. The fight against it is equally strong, but ego wants this. It wants to break free from itself. And it will. It will. In some form or fashion, it will. Tell me about, the Three of Pentacles here. I can't get another Queen of Wands or another Three of Pentacles. So I feel like the universe would throw that if it could. What else? What else about the Three of Pentacles here? Just saw that Seven of Cups at the bottom. Tell me about the Three of Pentacles. Okay. That's it. Next best thing. It's the Emperor. It can't throw me a Queen of Wands. It could have done a King of Wands, I suppose, but yeah, the masculine energy has become so bound up and rooted in its ways that it perceives vulnerability, it perceives even the facing, the acceptance of emotion within the self, not even talking about the expression of it, the acceptance of it, the facing internally of that emotion. It perceives it as a threat to itself, as life-threatening to this identity. All of this is constructed to help that break loose, to help the masculine energy come into balance with the internal feminine, to stop fighting its own feelings. It's on top. The Fool. Yeah, exactly the same. To try something new. To behave differently, to make a different choice, to start following faith, to start having faith, experiencing what that is. You can't experience the power of faith if you don't let your emotions flow, if you don't trust yourself to feel, if you don't trust your feelings. That's a lot of this too. Masculine energy, so analytical, so heady that it doesn't trust emotion, doesn't trust feeling, doesn't trust the soul, doesn't trust the feminine. And so anytime that stuff comes up, it fights against it. It doesn't understand it. It doesn't like that it doesn't understand it, and it just tries to push it away. This is here to break that cycle. This is here to break the mind, masculine energy, out of itself, out of its own box. It can't see outside of itself. It's surrounded by this devil energy. All of this is here to force it into the place of surrender, so we poke that little hole in the shell, and it can step back and see, oh, I've been fucking myself up this whole time. I've been ruled by fear. I've created an identity out of resistance, out of superficial whatever stuff, reputation, the way other people perceive me. I've been living my life for other people. I've been living my life in a shell, in a box. I've been terrified of emotion. All this stuff. Why is the Fool here? Look at that. The Queen of Cups. I love it. What were we talking about? The Queen of Wands, she doesn't do emotion. That's the Queen of Cups thing, right? Oh no, feelings, sensitivity. No, not for me. This is here to help that energy transform, to help it open up, to help break down this wall of tension, this absolutely life-threatening fear of emotion, and show you that emotion is nothing to be afraid of. That's too funny. And the emotion it wins. The emotion wins. Literally, we have water against rock here. It's eroding. It will erode the wall. That resistance cannot sustain. It doesn't feel good. Once we just let the wall down, we discover how liberating it is to feel. There is nothing to be afraid of here. There's nothing threatening about feeling feelings. Oh, I'm a broken record. I'm gonna stop. I could say all the same things over again. All right, tell me about the star. Whoop. Okay, tell me about the star. That's it. I already had a card jump. Ready or not, here we come. Fear or not, the emotions are gonna spill out. Yes, there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of confusion around this. I don't know why, but I feel that there's that Knight of Wands again. I knew there was a I should have said it. It doesn't matter. I knew there was a Seven of Cups in here. There's a lot of confusion around this, around not understanding how is this supposed to work. Suddenly, I feel like this is destiny. I don't know what that means. I feel like I'm crazy. I don't get it, but I'm trying to follow this. This is all new to me. This expression of emotion, the acceptance of it. I don't quite get it, but it's happening anyway. I'm gonna try. And the card that fell out is the Knight of Swords. It's just spit it out, just blurt it out. This emotion comes out and it changes everything, one way or another. And that is a little overwhelming. It's confusing as to why this is happening again. Why can't I get Empress out of my head? Why can't I get rid of these emotions? Oh well, I can't figure it out. I don't have a choice. It comes out anyway. It splurts out and it changes everything because it's supposed to. It's supposed to come out. Why is this Knight of Swords here? Judgment. Again, God, source, the universe, energy that we do not control. And it's here to transform this Eight of Cups. It's here to transform our perspective from one of focusing on disappointment, focusing on fear, on attachment to some sort of outcome, to transform our identification with this small limited self, this self that has a past and a story. And well, if we let go of that story, then we lose that identity and it dies and it feels like a death of the self. Yeah, that's okay. That's not yourself. That's ego. It's here for all of that to happen. It's here to help ego dissolve itself, dissolve these bonds of identification, and to help consciousness dissolve those bonds, to step back from it and to experience the emergence of itself, the flowering of consciousness, as Eckhart Tolle describes it. And that is where happiness comes from. Truly, that is the true satisfaction, the true Nine of Cups, the wish fulfillment. That's the broader picture, the bigger picture of everything that's happening here is for masculine energy to come into balance with feminine, for consciousness to separate from the identification with mind and to discover this higher perspective and awareness of itself, to realize what it is, who it is, to know itself. Essentially, that's where the satisfaction comes from. To recognize all of this has been a drama, a story, a fantasy, constructed by the mind. There was never any threat. There was never any threat. Not the loss of reputation, not the changing of a situation, not the experience of an emotion, not the loss of the identity that was based on or invested in these things. None of that was a threat. Not really. A threat to ego, sure. But here we realize the loss of ego is not a threat. Doesn't mean anything. It's just another form that's free to come and go, that's free to change. It's not ourself. It's not our identity. We're not invested in that. It is no harm to self. In fact, it is the liberation of self. And in the liberation of self, there is true joy. That's where the real Nine of Cups, the real joy that knows no opposite, lives. The knowing of the self as soul, not the mind, working in tandem with the mind, not subordinate to it, not attached to it, not resistant, not identified with it. The soul aware of itself, open to the flow of everything, certainly open to the flow of emotion, the flow of feeling, the flow of all that is, holding nothing back. That's where the real balance is found. That's where the real power is. If you want to call it control, you can call it that too. The control, again, is found in the utter release of control. The invulnerability is discovered in absolute, radical vulnerability. Your power, true strength, lies in surrender. The acceptance of all that is within and without. That is powerful and profound. All right. Hopefully my phone doesn't die here because we're running on pretty low battery. Final three cards. If there's anything else that wants to come out. This is pretty informative. Yeah. Anything else that wants to come out? Anything else you want to say, universe, before we wrap this up? Okay, that's it. Do I have the deck upside down? I do have the deck upside down. 8 of Pentacles. And because I looked... Oh, I didn't even see that card. I was going to say there's no way to distract ourselves from this. There isn't. There's no way to distract ourselves from this. The more we try to fight the anxiety, the more it sticks. It's like a Chinese finger trap. It's like quicksand, whatever you want to refer to it as. The more you resist, the more you work against it, the more effort you put into it, whether you're trying to run away from or get it off of you, the more it sticks. The secret is to relax, to let it be, to face it fully. You release your control over it, it releases control over you. What's on top? Judgment. Again, my goodness. The sun crossed by this 8 of Pentacles. Yeah, can't look away. Cannot look away. It's just... The happiness is on the other side of this. The happiness is found through this, not somewhere else. Not by trying to find a way around it, by going into it. That's where the liberation, the clarity, the understanding is. By shining the light of consciousness, which is attention, which is awareness, which automatically becomes acceptance. If you are in the place of neutral awareness, of just observing, you're not judging. If you're not judging, you're allowing. You are accepting what is. Your acceptance of what is what releases the suffering, the resistance. You stop feeling stuck. You stop feeling the intensity of the pain. And whatever is there is allowed to move through you and transmute. And you discover it was never this thing that was so scary and painful. It was really a resistance to it. And there's the resistance, wearing very thin. Very, very thin. It's time to let it go. It's time to stop distracting, to stop looking away. That keeps up the suffering. And eventually, keeping up that resistance, you get tired of it and you give up. And when you give up, that's the moment everything breaks loose. That is the whole secret. Give up. Give up the fight. Give up the struggle. Whatever the struggle is against, it doesn't matter. If it's the struggle against a situation, some perceived enemy, if it's the struggle against an emotion that you're feeling, just give up. Just accept this is happening. Allow it to be as it is. and you release the suffering, you create no more of it, you create no more negativity, and you will experience the empowerment and the peace of just facing what is. Facing what is always empowering. Acceptance of it, which comes automatically again in the facing of it, brings peace, brings serenity, and then nothing has to change for you to know your well-being, for you to know calm, serenity, even joy. The way out is through. That is the whole message. I could harp on this same thing over and over. The universe has certainly brought this message back as many times as it can, because it wants to get through. This is how we are cracking the shell of ego and helping consciousness liberate itself, to stop identifying with ego. When you've stopped identifying, you're able to release that judgment, because it's no longer yours. It's not your judgment. It's ego's judgment, not mine. I don't judge that ego is judging. It's neither good nor bad. It just is. Now you're free. You're flowing around it. That's it. This is the whole message. It resonates powerfully with me. I do intend very much that it resonates with you, my beautiful viewer. If so, I would love to know how. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe if you feel so inclined. But regardless of any of that, none of that matters. Just trust yourself. Trust your feeling. There is nothing to fear, especially emotion. That is something you can practice surrender on powerfully. Face the feeling. Whatever is present, go deeply within it. In your entry into it, you are bringing light into the dark. You are helping to release what was stuck and stagnant. In your admission of, your facing of what is within you, you allow that to be set free. In the setting free of it, things come back into balance naturally, and you will feel the peace of that. I promise you. All is truly well. Absolutely, utterly. All is well. Embrace what is. It is neither good nor bad. If there is a judgment of it, become aware that's only ego's judgment. And now that you're aware, you're no longer seeing through it. You're no longer aligned with or identifying with it. That's it. You've broken the connection. Now just stay in that place. Everything else takes care of itself. Have a beautiful, serene evening, my lovely collective. And know that always, in every vector of time and space and everything beyond, the universe is supporting you in every way. All is truly well. And I absolutely appreciate and adore you exactly as you are. Thank you for being. Take it easy.